Hey, this is Josh. I'm the founding owner of COLETTI, and just out for a run this morning, and I was thinking through just the stories of what has brought COLETTI to where it is today. And I know it's going to be a little bit of a rougher video, in so much as I'm walking through mud, and I've got a jacket on for sure to embarrass my teenage daughters. But I wanted to tell the story what was fresh in my mind, and kind of do our second installment of just the COLETTI origin story. To let you know what we're about. On Veterans Day of this year, I told just the original story of how the idea of championing religious freedom got put into my heart in Afghanistan in 2002, as I was talking to a Pashtun interpreter, getting ready to do a raid. So I'd invite you to check that out. You can find it on YouTube or our website, or I don't know, search Google it. It's there. But I want to tell you just a different story today. So if I can fast forward about 13 years, I was at this time an Army chaplain. The Army called me then and said, "Hey, congratulations, you've been selected to be a instructor of Islam at the Defense Language Institute and in Monterey, California." And they wanted to send me to grad school for a year to study Islam. And so I'm like, absolutely. Me and Katie were super excited. It was the idea of getting to have time to study and prepare, and to learn Arabic and to learn Islam, to get ready to launch into that calling of bringing religious freedom and really just the correct ideas of Christianity into just the hard places that I'd been as a soldier. And so we move our family across the country to the university. And we're just dreaming and brainstorming, going, won't it be awesome? And what country should we go to? What organization should we partner with? And all those questions that you're going after to prepare to have a life change. That was, of course, going to be after my utilization tour at Defense Language Institute. And about that time, it was one morning I was spending a time of prayer, meditation, scripture open, just trying to enjoy the presence of God, enjoy prayer, and God spoke to me. And I want to be hesitant in using those phrases. If you say it too many times, people think you're kooky. But there's like 5 times in my life I can say no, I really feel like God has spoken to me, and I want to tell you that story. So what God said is, hey, I don't want you to go overseas. He said, instead, I want you to stay and to excel in the grace of giving. And we're like, what in the world does that mean, excel in the grace of giving? I knew that the New Testament, the book of Romans, chapter 12, it had a verse that talked about the grace, or the charism, the spiritual gift of giving, that some people had that. But that was kind of all I knew. It wasn't a big part of my life. So what I did is I just said, I need to consult just a good source, a prophet, so to speak. And so I did what anybody would do. I Googled it. I went over to Google and I typed in, the grace of giving. And sure enough, an article popped up. And I won't say what the article's name is, because I just need to ask that guy's permission. And anyway, you can't really Google it right now because Google's algorithm has changed a good bit since 2014, as you can imagine. But I read this article, and it's just a great piece of work talking about the dangers of unwise forms of giving, but then the opportunities, the strategic giving, the impact that it can have on human flourishing. And I was just enraptured by the idea, and I thought, I wonder who wrote this. And so I scroll up and I read the author's name again, and I'm like, that's familiar. Like, where do I know that name? And then it dawns on me, and I literally I rush over to my mail client, and I'm looking for the name. And sure enough, this author had emailed me the day prior, introducing himself as my new advisor at the university. The topic wasn't in the department that I was studying or anything like that. It was just kind of totally random. And when I realized that, I about fell out of my seat, as you can imagine. It seemed like the entire universe was conspiring to tell me something. And I rushed in and I'm trying to tell my wife, Kate, that you won't believe what happened. And, she's like, slow down, cowboy, like, tell what's going on. And we both just determined, well, it seems that God is inviting us to change our vision of this championing religious freedom, not as goers, but as supporters, as senders. And so we thought, okay, well, how do we do this? How do we excel in the grace of giving? We didn't have, we had been faithful to support causes we believed in, and it had been faithful, but we can't really excel much more than that unless we, got out of our house and lived in a van down by the river. But I think we had like 6 kids at the time, and so that wasn't really a viable option. Even if we did, we couldn't really excel. We'd hit a wall pretty soon of what we were able to give. And so we thought, I wonder if God's calling us into business. That was like just a really strange idea at the time. It took a while to assimilate because, granted, I'd spent 9 years as an Army officer, both at West Point and then as an officer, and then I spent 7, 8 years as a chaplain at this point. So back an officer again. So I knew ministry, I knew Army, but I didn't know the first thing about business. Matter of fact, I thought that business owners were, like sinful in some way. It was like wrong. But here it was, where God telling me, it seemed to be in no uncertain terms, to excel in the grace of giving. And so we said, okay, we'll do it. I think in my monkey mind, I thought, if there's a grace for giving, there ought to be a corresponding grace for earning. And I'm not prepared to write that book yet. I think somebody else probably should do some more research in the religious communities on this idea. But we're testing it right now. We feel God's favor and grace on what we're doing, and we're believing that He is with us in this thing. And although I'm not prepared to defend that theology right now, what I can say for certain, and why I tell this story, is to say I am convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that the one true God, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, the God of Muslims, Jews, Christians, that this God was inviting me to something bigger than I had imagined. And we at COLETTI, we're excited to be on this journey because we're not sure where it's going to go in specific, but we know, big picture, God is wanting to use us and companies like us to champion the ideas of religious freedom, religious tolerance, the ideas of freedom of information, freedom of press worldwide, so that as communities embrace these things, they see, statistically, we know that it leads to human flourishing, both in this life for certain, like statistically proven, and I believe in the age to come.